There are some students in school talking about scary incidents that happened in their areas. They'd heard that a doll flying through the sky was spotted, and even someone saw a woman who was half snake and 3 meters tall. They invite a boy named C to go out to look for terrors. This guy is cocky and says them not to invite them for such pointless things. He goes home after school. The occult has been quite popular these days. So-called phantoms and creatures have been appearing in areas, and people have been giving them the name of terrors. He finds such things ridiculous and has been fed up with such craps just because of his sister. He comes home and finds that his sister has bought another balloon doll of a dog head. She seems excited and lets him see how it makes sounds. He asks how much this balloon has cost her and learns it's worth of 50,000 yen. She has used all the money for this month's expenses, and they will be eating noodles for a while. It's sister's occult goods collection. C becomes furious. He pushes the pump to fill the doll with air and explodes it. He yells at her not to waste money on useless crap. She easily used the money he saved for monthly expenditures by slaving away at a part-time job. Sister does not seem remorse at all. Instead, she says a cult should be prioritized over monthly expenses and asks her not to worry. They can make money 100 times more than what she has spent with terrors. She shows him a camera with passion and says that the occult topic is a hot one nowadays, the materialization of fear, terror. They will take their pictures with this spirit camera, then they will publish those pictures on the net and make money through advertisements. She will become a web personality who can make money with her passion. He does not seem motivated and asks her how much this camera has cost her and learns it was also 5,000 yen. He kicks at her face, which she dodges and says her not to come home back until she gets one picture. Tired from his worries about expenditures, he sits on the stairs outside. He cries and does not get why he who cannot yet drink has to suffer over living expenditures. If only he could meet his father, then something good might happen. His father was a scholar of folk customs and disappeared on the trip to study the occult that he was obsessed with. And his mother fell out of love with his occult-obsessed father and left when Sei was still a kid. The occult separated his family. If both his sister and his father had spent more time on important things, then it would not have happened. He stands up and shouts that they do things as if terror really exists. He had to say it. A girl with a creepy mouth pops out of bushes and runs on the road away from him. He becomes baffled after looking at her and finds it impossible that she was rumored Kuchisek Anna. There is an urban legend of a mysterious woman who wears a mask over her face and asks people if she is pretty. Under her mask, her face is slit from ear to ear. If people answer she is not pretty, then she slices them into pieces with scissors or a cleaver. Sei cannot believe what his eyes saw. There is no way something like that exists in the world. He also runs after her and finds her coming out of the store and giving a creepy smile. He hides behind a wall out of terror and then sees that she is going to the parlor. He thinks that if she is Kuchisek, she might want to arm herself. After some time, she comes down from the parlor with her completely changed appearance. Sei is amazed that she has increased her feminine appeal with just makeup. Sei feels completely pathetic about what he has been doing all this time. There is no way Kuchisek exits, and it must have been his imagination. He looks back at her and does not find her there. Suddenly, she shows up behind his back, asking him if he was following her. He turns to her and pauses when she asks him if he was hitting on her. They visit a nearby restaurant where Sei does not understand why the situation has turned into the two of them getting tea. He glances at her while having tea and observes that she seems to be in middle school. She lowers down her mask and a cute face comes out, which breaks his anticipation. She asks his name and asks him if she was this cute that he tried to hit on her. He pictures that horrific evil Kuchisek, and in comparison to that witch, he says she is pretty cute. Her clothes and hair are also charming. It lights up her mood and gives off a bright aura. While she is grinning, Granny of the restaurant presents a hamburger. He inquires her the reason for smiling. She makes the excuse that she thought this hamburger looked delicious. He is still observing her and concludes that she is a pretty normal girl who is happy over a burger. Suddenly, she opens her wide mouth to eat a burger, and looking at her with that mouth, he splashes water in surprise that she is not a normal girl and pulls back in terror. She hides her mouth with her small hands. He points his finger toward her that she was really Kuchisek. She also stands making dreadful faces and says she is not human but Kuchisek. Sei also rises in panic and inquires that she was just normal and how she turned to this, but gets shocked when he sees her crying. She is aware he does not want to continue dating her. If she gets too worked up, then her true nature ends up coming up. And just now, she was so happy because she was hit for the first time by a guy and having a meal with him. She has always wanted that and apologizes to him for tricking him. No one would like to interact with nasty Kuchisake. Sei comes back to his seat and takes a long sigh. She is curious to know if he would not leave her, and he replies no. He does not like the occult that split his family, but she is not at fault as she is part of it. He asks her to hurry up and eat a burger. It is what she wanted. She opens her wide mouth in pleasure, but a strange woman in a robe appears by slamming the door. She comes to Kuchisake and grabs her hair. Sei speaks in her defense and asks the suspicious person who she is. She glances at him with a terrifying look and asks him if he wants to die. While pulling Kuchisake's hair, she asks her to show her true self. Sei again says that Kuchisake is on a date with her. He does not know what she wants, but she has to save it for later. Kuchisake also supports him and says she was hit on by him even knowing she is Kuchisake, and accepted her for who she is. That suspicious woman says harsh words to Kuchisake that she needs to know her place, she is a monster. He might be after her due to curiosity or money, and no one can like her. Sei slams on the table and says he does not agree with her for whatever she is saying. Kuchisake might seem to be a monster to her, but to him, she is a cute little girl. That girl does not heed him and takes Kuchisake with her. Kuchisake thanks him and ends her date with him. She tells him her sad backstory that everyone she met has been afraid of her due to her identity as Kuchisake. That's why she puts on her pretty clothes and makes her hair look nice, in the hope if she does it, then maybe someone like her. But in the end, she is a monster. She apologizes to him for making him hang out with a monster like her. After saying that, she heads out with her tears rolling down her cheeks. At back, there is silence, and he can't stand out whatever she is going through. He also comes after her, and on opening the door, he passionately says does not care about other crap. He is just saying she is a cute, normal girl. But the situation is somehow ridiculous. His sister is also out there, taking pictures of Kuchisake, and strange woman is avoiding her pictures clicking. Sei is also ashamed of this situation when his sister also tells him that he discovered Kuchisake. She points at Kuchisake and says she is ugly. Sei starts beating her sister that Kuchisake's looks are way better than his sister's personality. That robe woman is flabbergasted at what Sei's sister said and asks them to run away hurriedly. Kuchisake turns into her evil witch form, bringing her cleavers, and starts hitting his sister, and robbed woman tries to save Sei from her. At this moment, he realized he should take his words back that she is a pretty normal cute girl. She is so unworthy of being called a terror. They are on a bridge that Kuchisake breaks and furious, and they all fall in the river in terror. Sei has been plunging into the river after getting involved with Kuchisake and got pretty swept away far down the stream. He looks for his sister and finds her floating on the river. Then a strange man pops up and saves her by carrying her in his arms. He has pointed teeth and asks Sito to save himself if he is a human male. Sei is scared to understand that Guy is a monster. Girl in a robe also comes out of the flowing river and yells at a strange man, asking why he did not save his master. She uncovers her robe, and it surprises Sei that she is a pretty smart girl. Sei does not what's up with those guys and if they are working together, but Strange Man seems like a type of Kuchisake. Strange Man looks at Sei's sister with a ferocious look, and then says with a smile that she is a thick woman. She is unconscious calmly with busty boobs popped up. He does not seem to have control over his desires. Maybe bouncing. He asks Sei if it's a little bit, then it's okay, right? Sei does not get what he is talking about. Girl who removed her robe, let's call her Robbed Woman. Robbed Woman shouts at him that he is a pervert and is bringing even shame on her. She is always telling him not to arouse for little things for men. He returns sister to Sei and talks back to girl that a little bit is fine. She does not have the slightest amount as she is flat from her chest. It triggers her anger, she carries a rock and hits her head. Then she heads to Sei, and after hitting him, she says she has been saving his ass from Kuchisake. She will warn him last time if he does not want to die. After that, she goes to that man to find Kuchisake, and as soon as they find her, they will eliminate her. Back there, Sei thinks that Kuchisake is more dangerous than he imagined, and if he gets more involved with her, then he will get eliminated. He returns to his sister and decides to leave this matter. Those guys have successfully surrounded Kuchisake. She asks them not to come after her. She is a monster, but she has done nothing wrong. Robbed Woman asks her if she is pretending to be dumb or if she has forgotten that she has created a rampage earlier. They can't let a dangerous person lurk outside, and they will protect the town by eliminating her. Kuchizake seems down and starts smiling that she has a reason she can't die yet. She has an important boyfriend, Sei. However, it did not look like to robbed woman. Kuchizake herself realized it when Sei came after her, even knowing she was a monster. She has to respond to his feelings, and that's why she wants them to leave her already. After saying it, she runs away. Robbed girl remains standing speechless. Strange guy calls robbed woman by the name of Kurea and says it is his turn. He is not hanging around with her to run her petty errands. She asks him to do what he wants from now on. It is where his name is introduced as Hizaruki. He runs after Kuchizake and finally corners her. He likes women, but he does not give a damn to any monster. He asks permission from Kurea to eat her and starts by crushing her head. For this, he holds her head and Kuchizake cannot retaliate against him. She whimpers and says Sei's name. Then suddenly, Sei appears as the hero and pulls her back. Without losing any minute, he runs taking Kuchizake with her. Hizaruki loses her cool and breaks the wall beside him. Sei always considers Hizaruki as monkey and has figured out his weakness. He is also a monkey from the inside. After breaking walls, Hizaruki realizes there is no way out to go after them. They come to a safe site where he asks Kuchizake to hurry up and get out of there. Kuchizake is emotional and asks him if he really does. He also agrees that he cannot believe in himself for him to feel sympathetic toward her. It ruins her expectations because she meant love if he also loves her. She tucks his shirt and asks him if he has not come to save his lover, and he clarifies that he has come here out of sympathy. He thought she should not be annihilated in the name of Kuchizake. And since when did they become lovers? She is persistent and wants him to run together. He pulls back himself, asking why he would do that. In the first place, he does not like occult crap and does not want to get involved in it. He listens to Kurea yelling at Hizaruki to go and find them already. Sei asks Kuchizake to go and save herself while he takes care of things there. He has again ticked her evil side. He looks back at her and finds a sinister aura coming out. She is turned into evil form and asks him if he had fun tricking her, inviting her on a date, and appreciating her looks. She brings out her cleavers and runs after him, slicing everything. Sei does not get why she is running a rampage on him. He did not say anything bad about her looks. When she is about to him, Hizaruki blocks her attack. Sei seems glad and asks him if this monkey has come to save him. Kurea suddenly kicks at his face and says she had warned him not to get involved with Kuchizake. Sei tells her that he did not do anything to her and did not say forbidden words either. Kurea makes her understand that it is not how women's hearts work. He said that he sympathizes with her, which she understood that he does not love her. He said he hates the occult and she took it that he hates her. He said her to run away and she understood that he is asking her to go away. Because of all this, she considered that he had dumped her and went on a rampage. Now, Sei does not know how to fix her. Even Hizaruki does not stand a chance against her and is flown away. There is no stopping her once she gets like that. She won't calm down like last time because it's on another level. Kurea loudly says that there is just one way and they will need his help. Sei also passionately agrees with her and asks her what he needs to do. Hizaruki carries Sei as he is airplane and tells him the plan that Kuchizake considers he has dumped her, so he has to make her understand she is not dumped. Sei is reluctant to do it, but he has got no time as Kuchizake is running towards them. Hizaruki sends him flying towards her as kids send paper kites into the sky. As soon as he lands onto ground, he kisses her directly on her lips. With that, the storm calms down. He feels disgusted that his first kiss was with Kuchizake, the first kiss which he fantasized about. He notices that she is completely changed with her new black hair color and pretty face. Then he comes out of his zone when she tells him that he has just kissed her, even though he said absurd things. It runs down a chill through his spine. But seeing her smiling, he does not correct her. She observes her surroundings, which are all messed up. He turns to those guys asking them if it was their genius plan, but sees they have worried expressions and say it's gonna be trouble. He has been possessed by Kuchizake Anna and has become her teller. Sei confirms from them if they are telling him he has become a terror. He thought Hizaruki and Kuchizake were the ones called terror. Kurea clarifies these are the rumors that clueless people have spread on the internet. Terror means Hizaruki and her, monsters born of horror stories, and the humans who make use of them. The monster terror and human teller, terror refers to this pair. Sei is baffled after listening to this bullshit that happened to him. However, Kurea is confused that she has never seen such a powerful terror and powerful pressure ever before. When a terror pairs up with a human, their latent abilities are awakened, but Kuchisei has such immense power within her, more than Haruki. Kurea looks at Haruki when he asks her if she is losing her nerve. If they attack her, then they can win. Kurea stops him that Kuchisei is not what she was just now, but he is overconfident about his powers and heads toward her. Kuchisei brings out her cleavers, and with one plunge, she slices a container into halves and asks him if he is still trying to come in between Sei and her. Kurea and Haruki calmly turn to the other side, saying it's time to go home. Sei stops them and asks them what's going on and what's this about terror and teller. He has always avoided such things in his life. Kurea tells him in a very casual way that it might be he kissed her right smack dab on the lips and made her think that he is the only one for her. However, Kuchisei does not know about it. She equates the feelings of love with possession. He does not have to betray her feelings. If that monster snaps out of her, then he will be one to die first. They head off after telling the last information that he is together with her till death parts them. On the way, Kurea kicks Haruki and is pissed that they could not finish her off. It seems Kuchisei has forgotten all the rules, and it's good for them because terrors are fated to kill each other, and if Kuchisei gets stronger, then it will not be good for them. Sei brings Kuchisei home where she prepares dishes for him and his sister. Sister appreciates her cooking and that food is sliced monotonously. When they are having a good time, Sei is in trauma that he had to bring her home because it looked like she would snap otherwise. Kuchisei turns to his sister and says she seems to be forgetting something that happened to sister. Sister is about to say something. Sei takes Kuchisei to bath that it was a very hectic day and she must have sweated a lot. He comes to his sister and makes her understand not to say anything bad about her to make her mad. Sister is aware of it and is brimming with energy. She feels honorable to be the occult's otaku, and it's a dream to be able to live with Kuchisei. She will be making loads more than she could by selling with photos. She affirms from him if Kuchisei is going to stay there for the night, and he agrees with her. She energetically sets up the room with a camera. He asks her what she is doing with all the setup, and she tells him that she thought to get footage of Kuchisei and him having an adult scene. It triggers his anger. He asks her with a weird face if she thinks it's going to happen. She is a pervert sister, and he should have left her there for getting sliced up. She does not seem remorseful, and while making a face, she asks him if he is aware of his situation. He has to think of it from Kuchisei's point of view. He was just pushing over loads from his shoulders, but each step was a new beginning for her in her love life. He invited her home for some serious reason, but for her, it's more than a kiss. He has set the stage for something like that happening for him. He is horrified to death. Kuchisei also comes out of the bath and is wearing Sei's loose shirt, looking pretty cute. Sister also comes out of the room with an excuse of going to a convenience store for about an hour. Kuchisei sees there is a futon already laid down. Sei does not like it, but if he refuses, then his life will be on the verge of death. She lies on the futon and also asks him to sleep together. Sei goes to his futon while trembling and lies down. She asks him if he will listen to her side story of what happened until now. The scene turns to when she comes out of her unconscious after becoming a terror. She was in the middle of the forest with no one around and no memories either. All she had was awareness that she was the abhorrent Kuchisei. She went down the road where someone stopped his car to give her a ride, but they became scared and ran away when they saw her wide mouth. She spent her night lonely, and then those guys started chasing after her. She thought that kind of treatment was appropriate for her, but then he appeared before her. Truly a hero, seems more like Fushiguro of Jujutsu Kaisen. Presently, she says that staying at the end of the day with someone she loves would be such a happy thing. It would be great if they could spend their days like this forever. She has tucked his shirt, and he is also blushing. He thinks about her, that when is not snapped out, she is like a normal human girl. Then he controls himself that Kuchisei is Kuchisei Anna. Finally, he also falls asleep with her. We see a creepy creature with one eye like Plankton in SpongeBob, lurking around in alleys. Sei has always heard about the rumors of phantoms and stories of materializing monsters known as terrors. He would have been obsessed with such terrors like everyone else, but he had not seen such things by himself to believe in them. As usual, his class fellows talk about the terror stuff and the building that broke into. They have heard rumors that a terror went on a rampage in the building breaking stuff. Sei is conscious of whatever they are saying. When he is about to go, a girl named Nanami stops him and asks why he is going without her permission. She insists he should join occult talk, and he inquires why he will talk about such stuff in the first place. She says it is more interesting when there is someone who hates occult stuff. Their class fellows observe the situation, and it seems Nanami always yells at Sei. When he is about to go, he tells her that terrors might not be as bad as she thinks. It makes others surprised because these words have come out person who is an occult hater and always frowns at part-time job listings. Girls make fun of Nanami that they always used to go together until now, and it could be he started hating her. It makes her angry, and she glances at them with cat eyes. Sei arrives home where Kuchisake welcomes him with her wide smile. He pulls her inside, saying her not to come out here. What if someone sees her? They have been living together for days, and he never thought Kuchisake would be this child. With her childish behavior, it's a matter of time before someone finds out about her. Kuchisake informs him about his sister that Heaven is going to start a stream. He looks at her when she introduces herself as Heaven and says the channel for all occult things has started. Sei is suspicious of her actions, that she is up to something. She is actually streaming to introduce her guest, Kuchisake, and when she says it, Sei kicks her from back, saying her not to tell about her to all world. Heaven cries and says she won't have to leave the house to earn money, instead it will come into her comfort zone. Becoming a live streamer is the most desired occupation in elementary schools. The schedule is already jammed with Kuchisake's features, and later they will switch to adult content for the real money. Kuchisake also agrees to come and help, but Sei also denies her that she is already doing home chores. He kicks her out of the house, saying her not to come until she has groceries for dinner. When he is about to go back, someone knocks on the door. He thinks it might be Heaven, so opens the door yelling at her what she wants, but it's Nanami. She says she has come to check his house because he has been seen bringing a cute little girl to his house. Sei is panicked that someone sees them, and of all the people, Nanami happens to find it. She tries to barge into the house, and he stops her, saying it's none of her business. What if he brought someone into his house? But she manages to get in and sees Kuchisake calmly sitting and looking at her. Then she sees a board on which Heaven had listed her features and other things. She asks him what he was going to do with her body and shows her anger. Sei whispers to Kuchisake to follow his lead, otherwise Nanami will find out. He says to Nanami that Kuchisake is his relative and he has brought her to his house. It's not like that. Kuchisake has a childish mind, and from words relative, she brings out the term wife and says she is his wife. It gouges out Sei's eyes with surprise, asking when she is his wife and what she is talking about. Heat waves come out of Nanami, and she says Sei has not introduced her to Kuchisake. Sei introduces her that she is Nanami, his childhood friend and classmate. Nanami interrupts him, saying she is not just a childhood friend, they have a relationship deeper than that. They have known each other from elementary school, they have often gone home together and studied for exams together. But recently he has been coming home straight, and she suspects it's Kuchisake's fault. Kuchisake smiles with her wide mouth and asks if it's her fault. Nanami surprisingly asks what's that. Sei covers Kuchisake, saying it's her imagination. Meanwhile, Kuchisake wears her mask. She says she is glad Sei is rushing home for her. Nanami turns back that she is just in their way and goes to the door. Sei says it's not what she thinks. She gives an unexpected response that it was supposed to be her place, which leaves them confused. She leaves the house, and someone in a creepy voice asks her if it was not just how he said it would be. She agrees with him and says Sei didn't only bring a girl to his home, but Kuchisake Anna. Eyes in her eye hair emerge out, who laughs that she is Kuchisake Anna. Nanami asks him to lend his power, and he agrees, saying course. Here it's revealed that the weird eyes in her hair are terror, and Nanami is his teller. Soon, Heaven also appears, saying to Nanami that she must be Sei's friend and invites her for dinner. Nanami rudely asks her if she is the one who likes occult, and yet Sei has always hated occult. So for him to be seduced, it would be Heaven's fault. Nanami brings out her terror in her hair and attacks Heaven, leaving her unconscious on the ground. Nanami decides that with Death's evil eye, she will eliminate Kuchisake Anna. It's the scene when Nanami was coming back from school. She is hurt by how Sei is treating her. They always used to come home together, but he is acting different. She wants to ask him about herself, but cannot say. Suddenly, Plankton-like one-eyed terror speaks and says she is unexpectedly timid. She is surprised and asks him what he is. He assures her that he is on her side and will lend his power. He takes her to Sei's home and lets her see inside through the house's window where Sei and Kuchisake are working together. He says that Kuchisake is a monster deceiving Sei, and he is going to eliminate and make Sei see the truth. He laughs at Nanami and asks her if that's a brat she likes. She is shy and denies him that it's C who likes her. The scene shifts to the present where she asks Terror that this gaze can eliminate anyone with enough killing intent. That Terror agrees with her, saying it's his power, and now he has possessed her, he will be able to exhibit to its fullest. He wants her to grow her hatred, which will eventually increase his curse power. This terror is Jaeshi, and according to folklore, it holds a strong curse power to read the depths of a person's heart, the place of death's suggestion. However, it does not exhibit this power immediately but waits for the host, who is unaware of his independent movements. He appreciates her that it's just for a day, but she is not a bad teller. She has such bad intentions, resentment, and hatred, so she has to take advantage of all these emotions. He triggers her anger and asks her to unleash her intent to kill if she is going to let a monster get near her boy. They go to the window again, and here he finds the true power of Kuchisake, which terrifies him. He is panicked that she is just too powerful and his power won't be enough to eliminate her. He says Nanami to have more killing intent and hatred, and persuades her by saying if she does not want to flirt with that guy or smooch him. Instead of developing hatred, she gets embarrassed and decides to go back home. But while passing through Sei's home, she listens to Kuchisake talking with Sei. She asks Sei if they can sleep together. He has not been sleeping with her recently. Sei also agrees to sleep with her, but it triggers Nanami's strong killing intent. A strong power flows through her body like Super Saiyan. She is angry over Sei if she assumes Kuchisake is tricking her, but how these his actions justify it. Jaeshi also persuades her that with this killing intent, they will definitely eliminate Kuchisake. She goes to Sei's house door, and at the same time, Sei comes outside to see what's going on there. But they both fall in such a way that Sei is on top of her. Jaeshi wants her to take advantage right now, but her killing intent fades away. She blushes and asks him to get up as his breath is trickling her. Sei raises and sees there are only ingredients on the ground, not his sister. Nanami hurriedly barges into his house and sees Kuchisake in her apron, looking cute housewife. Sei gives her ingredients as a husband. Nanami is confused that it looks like there is a couple. He asks Kuchisake to call in whatever she needs while taking Nanami away. That terror dude tries to instill her anger again by saying if she can't see those guys living together to flirt with each other, if she will let them get away easily. She turns to him in anger and with tears. Sei interrupts her and says it's his first time being alone with a girl from his class, so it is making him nervous. She also turns her tone to soft and says it's the same with her. Jaeshi does not know how to stop and continuously whispers to her, asking where is her killing intent and what's going on with her. And she is an easygoing girl who is tricked and asks Sei if Kuchisake is the reason he has been rushing home recently without her. Sei replies it was not that reason particularly, she does not need to worry about it, and he was not purposefully avoiding her. Jaeshi considers it a lie and says he can read what's going on in others' minds unlike her, so he lets her read whatever Sei is thinking. Sei thinks he does not need to worry about Nanami, but the situation with Kuchisake. Nanami is furious over Sei and asks him if he is worrying about Kuchisake. He is confused by what she is saying and says she is acting weird today. When Nanami is going to become Super Saiyan again, Sei says he will let her know that the girl inside is all alone. He just decided to be there for her. It leaves her eyes wide open and her Saiyan mode also disappears, making Jaeshi wonder what happened to her now. Nanami has heard these words already a time ago. The scene shifts to the time when she was in elementary school. She was bad-mouthed and confrontational and always caused problems where she went. One day, some dudes bullied her and hung her bag on the tree. She was shorty and couldn't reach her bag. At that time, Sei showed up the first time and helped her. From that time, he started to hang out with her. The bully was also stopped, and thanks to him, she managed to make some friends. One day, she asks him why he is trying to help her because she never said a word of wanting to go home with him. Sei acts as a cool man. He says he has seen the tears of a bullied child, and if it's not great, she has some friends now. There is no special reason for it. He has just decided to be there for her. Now, there is no point in it because she is not alone anymore and can go home by herself. Presently, Nanami also calms down thinking that Kuchisake is in the same position as she was in the past. What he did in the past, he is doing it for that girl because this treatment is nothing special for him. Jaeshi is also shocked her intent is also gone and she has stopped hating her. He tries to instill her anger that she is stealing her guy, but Nanami has changed her attitude to a positive one and says Kuchisake and Sei are not going out, so she is on equal terms with Kuchisake, and she won't lose to her. Jaegashi is restless and does not want her to screw with him. He wants to let her see what Sei is thinking right now about her. He goes inside Sei's depth and sees injured Sei sitting beside Nanami, who is lying on the ground, and says he won't leave her alone. Jaegashi cannot believe what he saw and pulls out of Nanami in fear. Sei can see now that Terror Dude has come out of Nanami and is going to Kuchisake. Jaegashi has seen something and wants to confront Kuchisake. She is slicing vegetables with her precision skills and unknowingly slices Terror easily with a normal knife. The sliced Terror also mixes up with vegetables. She informs Sei with a soft smile that she has finished cutting everything until now. Sei is confused, asking if Jaegashi has died, and Nanami asks if it matters either way. He shouts at her that it definitely matters because it was possessing her, and she tells him it is over now. She has something to do, so she is going home today. She turns to him and says that Jaegashi was saying about possessing Kuchisake. He recalls that Haruka also said something about eating Kuchisake. He goes after her to know more about its details, and she is reluctant to tell him. Kuchisake is making dishes, and Jaegashi is also burning up along with vegetables. When Sei is gone, Kuchisake turns into her evil mode and consumes Jaegashi by taking out her long tongue like a frog. After that, she turns back to normal without knowing what she has done and becomes goofy. We see a girl present in a shrine telling a priest that she is possessed. He considers it a terror's doing because quite a few of them have been coming to him recently and has increased his number of consultations considerably. She is surprised and asks him if believes her. He agrees with her and wants to commence exorcism to free her from terror's torment. The scene shifts to Sei and Kuchisake, who have come out shopping. She seems excited because Heaven is always home with them, and it has been a long time since they are just them together. Sei does not find it fun as they are just shopping and is surprised that Heaven is useful in such cases. Kuchisake wants things to remain like this forever. Sei says with a gloomy face that things will not be the same as now. He is in deep thought that there are other terrors beside them who are trying to hurt them. There was a thing possessing Nanami. He saw something strange when he went to the depths of Sei's psyche, but they had no idea what this was. He looks at Kuchisake, making cute puppy eyes. She has taken his words wrong again. She took the statement their relation won't be the same into they will be something more than a couple, that is, they are going to marry. She asked him embarrassingly if they are going to marry, and he bluntly denies her that it's not what he meant. They are still minors after all. Then she says he must be satisfied being lovers for now. He is irritated by what she is saying, but does not correct her after seeing how glad she is. When going through the street, that priest passes by him and says she must be Kuchisake. He possesses a method for exorcising terrors. If he wants to learn it, then he must come after him. It catches Sei's attention, and he asks Kuchisake to a head as something important has come up. He runs after that man, and around the corner, he finds him standing there. Sei asks him who he is and how he knows about it. That man introduces himself by the name Hanaryuin. They get on a nearby train where Hanaryuin tells Sei that he is currently investigating the incidents regarding terrors, and he assumes Sei also knows something about possessions incidents. He does not want to leave this matter alone as it relates to his work, so he thought it would be best for Sei to receive exorcism from him. Sei is listening to his yapping calmly, and when he is done, Sei asks him if he is an exorcism salesman, because this lad is poor and has got no money for such stuff. Hanaryuin assures him that it's free of cost. Sei suspects that Hanaryuin is shady and has many questions, like if he is really going to tell him everything, if he is watching over his apartment, and something about all this is not satisfying to him. Hanaryuin further continues asking him things have been hard, right? He has never been loved before yet. There is a monster for whom he has no option left but to act lovey-dovey with her, otherwise he will be eliminated. Sei is speechless and in thought. After some time, Hanaryuin says Kuchisake sure is a dangerous being. The tales of terror regarding Kuchisake Anna first appeared towards the end of the 1970s and within 2-3 months of their arrival. Its legacy had spread across Japan. This was a period where neither the internet nor SNS existed. It was a horrifying legend that leads him to believe that it does not matter what this terror is doing or how it came to be, but if it is materialized again, then it would hold powers of legendary proportions. He asks Sei if he really wants to get involved with all that. He takes Sei to the shrine after getting off the bus. Sei is silent and thinks Hanaryuin says he can exorcise, and if he has a way to exorcise terror, then will he let him kill her. At the gate of the shrine, Hanaryuin wears his priest robe and leads ahead. Sei inspects his surroundings that there is no one around, and it makes him think if there was a shrine in the first place. He asks Hanaryuin how long he plans to take him for exorcism and how he would do it. He turns to Sei and says he would do it by killing him. Suddenly, Sei's sight falls on the people who are eliminated in the name of exorcism, and we see a lady who was shown at the start of the chapter. Sei shouts that these are not terrors but humans. He looks around himself and does not find Hanaryuin anywhere. Hanaryuin approaches him from the sky and stabs a knife sneakily by saying the best method to annihilate terrors is to eliminate their tellers. Sei falls due to blood loss and is shocked that Hanaryuin was planning to kill him all the time. Suddenly, Kuchisake appears and slices Hanaryuin down with her cleavers. Sei asks her what she is doing there, and she explains to him that she has always been there and whenever he is outside. She follows him from a distance, and whenever he is in school, she waits for him outside. Hanaryuin does not die and says she is dangerous, as they say. If he was not Kune, he might have died here. According to urban legend, Kune can twist and turn its body, rendering its movements almost unidentifiable to the normal eye. To those who have seen it, its figure appears as though nothing more than a mirage fading, and for those who claim to see it, their minds suffer a disturbance of abnormal weight and gloom. Seeing Hanaryuin is still alive and moving, Kuchisake is triggered with anger at why he's still moving and Sei is getting hurt. She waves her cleaver to land a hit on Hanaryuin, but he is agile, moving quickly to dodge her attacks and miss them. He makes fun of her and asks her to hurry up, otherwise her teller will die. She carries Sei in her arms and runs away, but Hanaryuin is persistent and runs after her. She is so fast that makes him surprised on fact he can't catch up to her. He reaches the end of the shrine where Kuchisake has already left the hill. It is what he can expect from Kuchisake, and if she were not this strong, then there is no point in consuming her. Sei opens his eyes in a rush and sees Kuchisake standing beside him. She informs him that he was seriously injured and doctors had to give him stitches. He has been in hospital for 3 days. Sei tries to sit on the bed, but he is not healed yet completely. His back hurts him, so Kuchisake asks him to rest. He looks at the time, surprisingly, that it is 1 in the morning and the lights are turned on, and what she is doing there. She says she has always been there. Hospital staff already told her to leave, but she pretended to leave before sneaking in. Suddenly, the sight of killed humans passes through his mind. He feels hatred for Hanaryuin. He thought something bad would happen, but never thought he would be aiming for him. Many inquiries and confusion arise in his mind. One thing he can't understand is how killing the teller also results in killing terror. Lastly, Kuchisake couldn't even slice Hanaryuin when she is good at slicing anything. Kuchisake lowers down her face and asks him if he is sacred. Sei shouts who in his right mind would not be scared. She tries to comfort him by saying it's going to be all right. But Sei does not calm down and frustratingly says they are talking about an opponent who she can't even hit with her cleavers. What if Hanaryuin aims for her next time? Then things won't remain the same as they are now. Kuchisake raises her head with a smile and says if it comes to him, then she will be there to protect him. Sei calms down and asks her why she would say such things. She tells him that she is, after all, a member of Sei's family, a lover of Sei's choice, and even a wife of Sei's future. He becomes shocked, asking her who said such things. She does not reply to him and says while going it has been a joy living with her until now. After saying it, she comes out of the room. She goes to quiet Hanaryuin's shrine, and in pitch darkness, she says that she knows he is there. She has an important thing to talk about, that is she wants him to kill her. Hanaryuin appears out of nowhere and asks her what she meant by it. She says that he went after Sei because he wanted to kill her. If it was his motive, then he should be fine with just killing her. He can do it now, and this way she will protect Sei. Hanaryuin finds it interesting because she is throwing her life for the sake of humans. He has killed many tellers, but it's his first time eliminating a terror. When he is about to stab her, Sei appears and blocks his attack, asking why he is killing his Kuchisake. Hanaryuin backs down his knife. Kuchisake asks Sei why he has come there, and he rhetorically asks her if she thought he would not notice it. Even though they were in such a bad situation as this, she was all smiles. The girl who has always been his side, always clinging to him in sleep, suddenly decided to go home by herself. That's what made him think she was up to something. She blushes and says, while smiling calls him Beka, if she had just died, he would have been saved. He asks her about her talk of being together and how she can expect to stay with him if she dies. Hanaryuin interrupts him, saying that's a strange talk he is having, and decides to eliminate Sei instead. After all, he has no hopes of running anymore. Sei says what if he said they were going to do is cut him up and then take him down. But why Hanaryuin was aiming for him and could not using other methods instead? It could be that Hanaryuin was avoiding a direct confrontation. If it's not a legendary terror who holds the power of proportions. Kuchisake shivers and asks if it means she can do something about this situation. She has caused always trouble for him. Sei tells her that he is doing it because she became like a family to her a long time ago. He says while holding her, "Let's go home together." It fills her eyes with tears, and then suddenly, Sei starts to see a girl in black hair and some hot girls surrounding her and saying they will fight together. That hot black-haired girl approaches him and says he will not lose anyone again. It makes him think and ask if she is Kuchisake Anna. Some black energy starts to surround the original Kuchisake's cleaver, which transforms into a large cool cleaver as she has activated her Bankai. She stands with a charm and says she will clear them a path for home, so she will be chopping small fry Hanaryuin. Kuchisake says it's Sei's first time to pronounce his love for her clearly, and it shocks him. Hanaryuin is also surprised with how the aura around her has changed, especially Cleaver. He says to her that she seems to be forgetting she can't him directly. Kuchisake plunges towards him and swings her cleaver to inflict damage on him. At first, he acts cocky that he is not affected, but suddenly, he starts feeling pain in his face due to cuts. She gives a creepy smile and says she can see through him. He does not disappear but turns into those tiny beads, so when she cut him, she aimed for them. Sei is also shocked, thinking if she is talking about gas whose particles are this small that are not easily visible with eyes, let alone cutting them. Hanaryuin moves toward her in anger, but she deals with him and ends up slicing the building as well. He is injured and bleeding, unable to move. Kune also leaves his body and runs away. Kuchisake comes to him with a strange smile, bringing a large scissor right above him, and says he said if Teller dies, Terror dies too. When she is about to finish him off, Sei holds her scissors and says it's something he does not allow. She calms down and runs off after that terror, and at back, Sei wonders if she would be alright. Hanaryuin laughs and understands why Kune left his body. He anticipated that these guys wouldn't kill Hanaryuin. His body is more like a liquid than a gas. If Hanaryuin had to choose the one type of body that embodies terror, he would choose water. It's kind of special because there is a place where terror was born and the place of Hanaryuin's possession, a pond where he can easily hide. Hanaryuin is confident that they won't be able to find him, and they would have no choice but to give up and leave the mountains. He also decides to go hide himself, that eventually a time will come to remerge with Kune, and then he will come again to exorcise Kuchisake. But he does not know Kuchisake is 2 steps ahead. She cuts the ground around the pond, and the pond water rolls down the hill with Kune left in the pond area. Kuchisake can see him and cuts down him in pieces. Sei also reaches there and seeing Sei and Kuchisake together. Hanaryuin wonders if they know what's going on. He aimed for people who knew nothing about terrors, and up until now, he had kept 0 risk. He was hoping to become stronger, that no one would be able to defy him. Sei is worried about her, asking her if anything happened to her. She excitedly tells him that a sudden power rushed to her, and it must be because he said all those loving things to her. She loudly says that they can be together again, and Sei also says let's go home together. Suddenly, she looks at the terror behind her. Her eyes turn black along with her form completely turning into evil form and consumes that terror through her mouth. Sei is confused at what happened, and Kuchisake turns back to him with a confused look. Hanaryuin speaks and says she has consumed Kune. It leaves both of them surprised. Sei inquires Hanaryuin about what happened. He says Kuchisake consumed terror, which means he knows something and what happened to his terror. Kurea and Hisaruki also arrive there, saying the same line, that Kune has been consumed then. Sei looks at them and confusingly asks them what they are doing there. They tell them that they were also chasing Hanaryuin. They will continue their conversation with him later after dealing with Hanaryuin. Kurea orders Hisaruki to eliminate Hanaryuin immediately, so he runs toward him, but Sei orders Kuchisake to stop him. Kuchisake blocks his punch using her Bankai scissors. Kurea, in her serious mood, says they are already aware of what this person has been doing, killing innocent people and terrors. Then she yells at them if they understand it, then he deserves to be punished after all this. Sei also speaks back that Hanaryuin's terror is dead and he has turned back to normal human, so there is no point in killing him. He considers those situations wrong in the occult where people are eliminated or eliminate others, so he won't accept such useless killing. Kurea is standing speechless and asks Haruki to stand down. Hanaryuin cowardly laughs and asks if they are letting him go, but Kurea gives a kick right at his face. She turns to the other side, saying how she ended up getting scolded by some pathetic person like Sei. Hanaryuin turns to Sei and asks pathetically if he is the one who is going to protect him and prevent useless killing. Sei agrees with an emotionless face while calling on his mobile that so there should be no problem with having protection from inside the prison. It leaves Hanaryuin all alone in darkness. Kurea asks Sei if he has any injuries and learns that he had some pain, but it's improving. She invites him to get going at her place where they would talk about terrors. Kuchisake stops him from going because these guys are dangerous, but Sei has no choice and has to find answers about these situations. There is another thing, he is not sure what kind of these people might be. Sei and Kuchisake end up following them. Kurea points to her house that it's her place, but Kuchisake does not want him to go in such a compact place. Haruki invites her to go other side because Kurea's room is private and is only for humans. When Sei is right after Kurea's room, Kuchisake holds his arms and does not let him go, saying with crying eyes that a woman is inviting him, which must mean she likes him. The other thing is that it's dangerous, that last time he got stabbed when he went after some strange person, so it makes her think the same thing might happen again. She does not want him to go anywhere as she will protect him. He pats her head and asks her not to worry. He already said they are going home together. With that said, he enters Kureha's house. While closing the door, he thinks there should not be problems. If they intended to kill him, then they would have done it already. Suddenly, Kurea sneaks behind his back, which terrifies him, but she is just closing the door and says if he opens it, then he must close it. She hates it when people are sloppy. She has completely changed her appearance and has glasses now, looking like a typical hot lady. He looks around her apartment and observes there are books about occult. She asks him if he is surprised. He must be thinking that she was the studious type all along, but he labels her with the title, Yankee Nerd. It triggers her anger. She refuses that neither she is Yankee nor nerd. She calms down and continues that it was her bad there when she was about to eliminate that teller, and he was the one who stopped her, so he is not a bad one there. She tells him about her senpai that Hanaryuin eliminated one lady recently who was her senpai in elementary school. But she could not save her, even talking about saving the town from terrors, and she was frustrated with herself, but what happened to Sei was her fault. Sei finally understands her situation and says she is almost as a good person as he thought. She blushes and yells at him holding his collar, who he is calling a good person, and it leaves him scared as hell. She leaves his collar to have him sit somewhere. She calmly says he wanted to know something, so if it's about teaching him, then she can help him. Kurea also did not know everything back then either when she talked with Haruki. When she first time talked to Ape Haruki about all this, everything he could tell her about it were things that she had already experienced for herself. She met those monsters known as terrors 3 months ago, and that Ape asked her if she wanted to go crush terrors with him. That's how her days as teller began. These terror consist of supernatural powers. They used to kill each other, and after that, they turn into black gaseous bodies whose nature humans cannot discern, but know that terrors absorb those gaseous bodies. Sei understands now what they call consuming. Contrary to False Priest, she is just a teller, and Haruki has already absorbed many bodies. These terrors can grow by absorbing these bodies, and to find the strength to fight, they must grow. It seems an instinct that is ingrained in them for survival. If they are strong, why they would need humans, it's because they need to possess humans to use their supernatural powers. She has no idea what's the cause, and if one can suggest that they were born from the tales of terrors, the ones created by humans. They generally possess only a single person, and once they have taken possession, it can't be undone unless by death. That's why it's the rule of Teller that if Teller dies, then terror dies too. A conflict in which humans and monsters join forces to gain power is known as Terror Night, and he has already entered this conflict. Sei feels a thrilling chill and says he never wanted to partake in this conflict, and Kuchisake would never want such kind of power. Kurea asks him if he is sure. Kuchisake has shown her dangerous side several times, and he is saying it's not Kuchisake's true form. What if by chance she has forgotten her true self, and when she consumes to grow more, her true self returns naturally? Sei is amazed by her words and cannot believe it by imagining her in his mind. Kurea asks him if he will continue his relationship with her, and he strongly agrees. The people who are hunting them might come again, but that's not going to change his feelings toward her. He makes his resolve firm and says it does not matter what happens next. They will cut through their enemies together. Kurea smiles and says he is sure working hard, Mr. Boyfriend. After having a nice conversation, their quarrel starts again. He makes face first, then yells at her that their relationship is strictly familial. She asks him if they were not clear about it all, and he replies negatively and says he also nothing about Kurea and her terror if they are allies or enemies. Out of nowhere, he brings up the uniform topic that she goes to a certain high school, which means she is of the same age as him. She tries to hide her uniform, asking how he knows about her uniform and if he is some uniform fanatic. He yells at her that it's just his sister who goes to the same school. Kurea tries to calm down that she does not want to get involved with him and that she is only hunting terrors that are going around to hurt people. Sei again has inquiries from her if she is some sort of ally of justice, then that is also dangerous. Even if she teams up with that monster, there is no way she can do everything. She says that fighting with monsters is the only way she can fight with them, and she does not want to associate with them either. She stops saying, still, which intrigues him, asking what she wants to say. She scratches her head and says those occult monsters are running wild in her hometown. She is doing all this because she absolutely despises occult. After hearing it, Sei starts laughing loudly, which makes her conscious of herself that she did not say anything funny. While he is still laughing, she shouts at her not to make fun of her. He is lying against a bookshelf, and when she moves toward him, some books fall from the shelves. However, they are in a position it seems she is hitting on him. Suddenly, Kuchisake also enters the room, and seeing them being romantic, she cries on the floor. She brings out her cleaver and says that's what she was worried about. If she had been 5 seconds later, then who knows what kind of passionate things would have happened between them. Sei and Kurea start to move quickly as they are exercising and say they just mutual interest in training and they were training after all. They turn goofy and say they are just friends. Somehow, Kuchisake believes them and Sei takes her out to get home back. While coming out of Kurea's apartment, she cleverly gives him her contact information and says regarding Kuchisake that godly spirits, demons, and terrors are not old-fashioned spirits from a long time ago. They are tales of terrors, and the internet is the only that limits their spreads, but Kuchisake is the irregularity. He asks her what the heck is terror. She has been investigating the same thing all this time. What's special about the tales of terrors that were on the internet? The terrors first appeared when the Night of Terror started almost half a year ago. So half a year, what about them had been on the internet? She is gonna find out about it and solve that goddamn riddle. After all this conversation, Sei asks her what her name is and learns it is Kyuboku Kureha. Kuchisake asks Sei, while having tears in her eyes, if he is sure there is nothing between them. It makes him panic, and he says it's normal as they are just friends. Sei thinks about Kureha's line of hating occult and gives a smile saying she is definitely a friend. But it activates Kuchisake's Yandir mode and says she does not like these people. Sei is on a call with Kureha while holding a book of occult. It is what she recommends that will have everything he needs to know about the occult. He thanks her for the recommendation. He was not sure which one would be good. She gets surprised if he has these books at his home. He accepts that he sure has them, but does not want to look at them, and at this, she assumes these might be normal research and countermeasure books then. He imagines the creepy lass of his sister. If he asks her about the book of the occult, then she would be laughing at him saying he is finally awakened to the wonders of the occult. She suggests that there are loads of stuff being sold on the internet, and he replies that he is a poor lad having no money to buy them. She invites him to come to her home. She can help him get information as much as she can, and she will even teach him. Sei imagines how Kuchisake would react when she goes there. He tells her that Kuchisake would misunderstand things between them. Kurea says he should not be alone right now. Sei is on the telephone booth and replies that he is not alone and looks at Kuchisake, who is stalking him from a distance. Kurea also makes sure Haruki is close by. She considers him lucky that he has been blessed with a cheap character like Kuchisake. With someone like her with him, no one can lay hands on him. There will be more people hunting him due to his extraordinary power, and if he is found alone, he will die. He comes out of the booth and looks at Kuchisake thinking she is almost his bodyguard. They make eye contact and he goes to her saying she does not need to hide because their eyes met. He could see her from over there and asks her if she did not go shopping. She says she ditched everything she was doing as watching him and stalking is much more fun. She finds him cool when he is all in deep trouble. He turns to the other side that he has done there, so let's go home. She peeks behind him like a ghost and asks him who it was he was talking to. He makes an excuse that he was talking to his related old lady. He tries to avoid this topic by saying they will have to ride on the train again. They get on the train where Sei reads an occult book and Kuchisake sits right after him. He tries to understand it and guesses that they can't be sure what exactly is Terror Night, and this book is of all things he can't understand. From a monster's perspective, they are just eating each other to get power, but if it's not the same as cannibalism. Kuchisake's power has also increased. Her cleavers grew into enormous scissors, and she was able to overwhelm Kune. Her power got increased for an instant, which was not a sort of power up from consuming, and back then, he also saw some girls at that time. He looks at Kuchisake to ask about that time, but she is looking at him with a goofy face. He remembers that she has no memory of this. He takes a long sigh, to which she asks him if he is scared. He replies that he's not scared, but wants to do something about this situation. He recalls he had the same conversation with her in the hospital. She tucks his shirt and says with a smile that wherever he is, she will be with him. He also looks back at her with a smile. Suddenly, a blackout occurs on the train, and everyone, including Kuchisake, disappears. In panic, he looks around and recalls there was not supposed to be any tunnel around there. Train stops at the station of Kizaragi, where he gets off the train. The entire station and area are clean without anyone there. Sei is confused that he should have been on a train, and where is Kuchisake? He recalls an urban legend of Kizaragi. On the internet, there are tales of terrors that speak of a certain station. It does not exist in reality, but nevertheless, it does exist outside of it, which is a bewildering phenomenon. It's a phenomenon where no matter which way one turns, only grassy fields can be seen and communication devices also seem non-functional. Sei smashes a hit on the wall and considers it a terror doing, the same as that time with the priest. While he is in his thoughts, a strange creature creeps out from his back and falls on the ground that terrifies him. He asks him if he is the terror, but turns out he is the victim. Sei understands that he would have the same fate as him if he sticks around here, but he is alone. Kuchisake has always been there to protect him up until now, and Kurea and her terror are also not there, so what he can possibly do without them. He recalls what Kurea said about the death of terror because of Teller's death, and if he is ever caught alone, then he dies. Sei's sharp-witted mind clicks with the idea that the death situation applies to all, and the teller of this station's terror must be nearby. So even if he is alone, he can manage humans on humans. He is on the train again, unaware of the fact where it's taking him. Finally, it stops at the train depot, where he gets off and finds skulls on the way. On walking ahead, he finds a nice rail car, and then he listens to some guys conversing with each other. A girl with an eye patch orders a guy that they have to get 3 more people this week for terror for its growth. It's his job, as he is the one who is using Kizaragi terror's power. That guy does not seem to be listening to her, which makes her angry that she might be a messenger, but she is on a higher rank than him. She does not know where he is from, but this place is not scary at all. He finally speaks and says that he has authority on Kizaragi Station. It is him who decides who comes and goes. He can create a situation where she would be declared a missing person and maybe dead too. Her chirping stops and her eyes fill with tears out of fear. He says that he has found a giant fish and has already alarmed Terror about it. He knows Sei is watching the scene. Sei's heart starts racing hard, and he tries to calm down, thinking that Guy is also human. If he can take him down, then he can return to his original world. When he is focusing on Yakuza Boy, a lady sees Sei from a window and then enters the cabin from the front door. She is like 8 feet tall hot woman, and after seeing her coming towards him, Sei starts running that she is not a human but a terror. She also runs after him, carrying her frock like a princess. He tries his best to dodge her. If she gets hold of him, then he would be dead, but he won't let it happen. After running aimlessly, that lady gets hold of his neck and strangles it strongly. When she is strangling his neck, her sight falls on someone in the cabin. With that, she leaves him there and runs off. Someone in the cabin asks him if he is fine and informs him that the door is opened so that he can come in. He has no energy left in his foot and drags towards the cabin. He opens the door and finds a cute, sweet human child in the futon who has a bright aura. That child asks him if he is fine. He looks like a zombie. They are in the facility so he can call a doctor. Sei wonders who this child is and is alone in such a place. He informs Kid that it's dangerous out there. There is a monster outside who can attack them. That kid calmly asks if he is talking about strange-looking things, then he has to rest assured because there is someone protecting and won't let anything bad happen to them. That kid tries to come out of the futon, but his legs have no strength. He says he has been in bed for who knows how many years. He drags toward another door to open it, but it's too heavy for him. Sei makes his efforts to stand on his foot and says it seems he is fine, so kid does not need to worry about him. He thinks about the situation that he can just right now, and that lady was trying to suck his strength, but ran after he saw this kid. They introduce each other, and we come to know that kid goes by the name Haru. Sei asks him what he is doing at Kizuraji Station if he is a teller. Haru does not seem to know anything about it and says it's the care facility where he has been hospitalized all this time. Sei does not stop with his inquiries and asks him that he said someone protects him, so if it's his parents. Haru tells him while crying that he does not have parents because he got sick. His mother went with a strange man and his father got mad, ended up going somewhere. Then his sickness got worse and his head started to get cloudy. Around that time, someone brought him here. He does not remember what happened after that, but there must be facility workers. However, he has never met them in reality, and they come here when he is asleep. Sei kind of grasps the situation. It's like what Kurea said, that pairings a one-to-one relationship between tellers and terrors. If that's the case, then Yakuza boy would not be a teller, and by what girl beside him was saying, she would not be a teller either. Haru continues that he may have not seen them, but he can see the signs that they were there, so it does not matter if he has no parents. He is more than fine with the way things are now. He has such a kind person looking after him after all. Sei recalls a tale of terror from the internet, Hasshaku-sama. She wears a white one-piece hat that she keeps wrapped around her tall body. It's said that once someone has been entranced by her, she will proceed to absorb their spirit and lose their life. She does it by luring the boys towards herself with the enticing voices of his family and friends. If this tale is true, then Haru is her teller without knowing it. Sei looks back and sees that lady is staring at him from the corner of the window, then she suddenly enters the room protecting Haru. He finds that girl so terrifying and does not get how Haru managed to get the wrong idea. When she looks at Haru, her soft and kind image appears before Sei. Then she looks at him with a ferocious glare and runs after him. He asks her to wait. He does not have ill intentions for Haru. But she does not listen to him, which makes him understand that she has no intentions of dealing with anyone but Haru. He is confused about other guys who pretended to be teller. He bombards a lot of questions to her, asking if she is working with those guys, why she is hunting terrors like this, and why she is leaving Haru all alone at this place when he is sick. When she is about to hold him, he yells at her that she is not thinking about Haru at all. With that, she stops moving further. He further continues that he hates the occult and hates terrors even more. He has met a lot of people and learned that not all monsters go around killing others. He thinks she is not like that type either. She speaks and asks if he thinks she is such a good person, but he is mistaken. She is too much dirty for that. Sei rhetorically asks her why she is doing something like this. It's obvious she is doing it for Haru, and yet for some reason, she has locked him up in such a place. Her actions are completely contradictory. What exactly happened here? Suddenly, she lets him see her past, but along with him, unexpectedly, Haru also sees her past through a dream. She is going through the forest and recognizes herself as Hasshaku-sama Terror. A man in a car passes through the road. He stops the car to see a pretty tall lady, but she hella scares him by getting close to the window and making a scary face. She moves ahead in her goal to consume other terrors and increase her power. Her evil aura increases exponentially. One day, passing by a house where she sees Haru lying on the ground, so she stops right there. She observes he has a fever and is hurt. Out of sympathy, she carries him in her arms. She also does not understand the feeling that why she has done this. She has a mother-like nature despite being a terror. She organizes her feelings that this kid and she will be together, so that's why she can't leave him alone. One day, the Yakuza boy appears and asks her if she is a terror. Then she seems awfully lost there. She must be Hasshaku-sama, who is possessing a kid in her arms. She ferociously asks him who he is, and he tells her that he is a friend. Her tone changes to a soft one and asks for his help for this kid's treatment. He assures her that there is a place where he can be cured. He takes her to the Kizuraji station and asks her to place Haru in a certain rail car. She will have the time to nurse Haru back to health nice and slowly here. She does not intend to have his help, but he somehow manages to persuade her. He lies Haru down on the ground and asks her a favor. Some guys from the outside world like to show up here from time to time, so he was wondering if she would kill him for him. There could be some strange guys that try and resist her, but she will figure out it somehow. She becomes serious, asking him what he is talking about. But he is some rotten guy who yells at her to shut her mouth. No Dan monster is gonna talk to him like that. It instills her anger that she attacks him and is about to drain his strength. The railcar riding Haru starts to move on. She comes to its attention, wondering what's going on. Yakuza boy tells her that the train cars of this world are moved by the will. The railcar's speed increases awfully. He forces her, if it were to derail by itself then, he wonders what would happen to Haru riding it. It leaves her speechless. He asks her not to worry about it. He does not intend to kill Haru. She just has to keep herself from any strange ideas and handle some dirty work for her. He is down bad for forcing her to accept his offer. She goes to Haru and rubs her head, apologizing to him that she is a fool. Yakuza boy forbids her not to tell Haru anything about scary things, dirty things, and about that Yakuza boy's ill intentions. She does not need to worry as there is no difference between this place and the hospital. He has had her nurse him all this time, so as long as she keeps up, he will be fine. He brings up a random guy on the train and asks her to go and kill him. That guy confusingly shouts what's going on. He was riding a train just a minute ago. She is hesitant to do it, but that Yakuza boy is such a wicked person that he pressurizes her, asking whose life is precious, Haru's life or that guy's. Of course, she had to choose Haru. She rushes toward Guy to strangle his neck to absorb his life energy, and lastly, she consumes his terror. Yakuza boy announces that Kizuragi Station has consumed its power. She looks blood on her hands and feels so dirty in bathing blood. Haru seems to be seeing this dream and considers it so sad. The scene shifts to Sei, who is in despair, saying that Haru is hostage. He asks her if he is wrong. If one looks at the situation, it would be the only reason why she has to listen to those guys. She also agrees with him that Haru is a hostage and his life is in danger, so she has to follow those guys. Sei comes in rage and asks her why she has come to this conclusion if Haru has asked her to go follow those guys and kill people for him. She becomes ferocious again and strangles his neck, asking what she needs to do. Sei somehow tries to speak and says that if he does something about Yakuza, then there would not be a problem at all. She has to leave, saving Haru to him. She leaves, strangling his neck, asking if he can do it. Sei says with his resolve eyes that they will get out of here together. There are hospitals outside and friends who would do something about it. She seems satisfied that Haru will be cured, but she does not want to be fooled again. Sei also does not want her to believe him, but their interests are aligned. It's not between her and him, but between Haru and him. Sei comes out of the rail with Hashaku following him. He yells at her not to follow him. He will come and get her when he has found a way out. She says if it's for Haru, then they have the same goal and she can help him. She has become so generous lady. Suddenly, his sight falls on the girl who was with the Yakuza boy before. She comes and sits across the table and has a drink, enjoying the dreadful scenery. He thinks about girl that she must have a way to help her get inside, and it looks like she is not necessarily trapped here. Hashaku asks him if they have to fight, but he refuses her, saying he has no strength left in his legs. Instead, he wants her to do something. They go near that girl, and while hiding behind a door, Hashaku speaks in Yakuza boy's voice and shouts at girl, asking what she is doing in such a place. She was supposed to be in the rail car. This place is a little island just reserved for him. Girl sprouts the drink she had, and in panic, she says she does not have any message right now, and whatever she had, she already told him. Hashaku as Yakuza shouts at her not to make him angry because things will be frightening for her. It's another plan of Sei to fool that girl. According to the book he had read, Hashaku can imitate the voices of others, so naturally she is gonna use the Yakuza's voice and he would guide her from here. He whispers to her, and she says to that girl that there is something he wants to know about, and she does not need to worry as it's not difficult. That girl asks while crying if he wanted to ask her pant color, but he yells at her when he asks something like that. He further continues that she has already been her home, so she was able to get home safely. She takes out a ticket that he gave her, this ticket through which she is able to get as long as she is holding it. If she gets on the moving rail car while holding this, she can open any door to get into the real world. Having such useful information leaves smiles on Sei and Hashaku's faces. He asks her to leave the ticket at the place where he is, and in fear, she clings to the place and leaves it there, but when Sei looks at it, it turns out to be her panties, not the ticket. He throws it right at her face and asks her where is the ticket. She finds it strange that it's true he has never asked for her panties, but how she can be sure it's the real thing. Sei is sweating, wondering if he has not made any mistake, so how come she became suspicious all of a sudden? She hilariously continues that he is the one who pulled that brat into this world. he is the one who tricked them and ended up bringing that sick mess in the head brat in this world. However, Hashaku does not stand hearing bad stuff about Haru and comes out of hiding and asks her to whom she is calling sick, messed up brat. She strangles her neck and ends up eliminating her. Sei shouts at her that they have done all the work for tricking her for nothing. If other guys find out, they will be in trouble. He picks up the ticket and asks her to hurry up and escape. However, he feels like things are going a little too well right now. He runs outward, saying it is time to take Haru and get out of here, but looks at Hashaku, who is standing still, wondering something. Sei runs towards Hashaku, saying it is time to take Haru and get out of there, but Hashaku sits there with a dull face, saying that she will hide and both Sei and Haru should go alone. Sei gets a little stunned and asks her about the reason. So she reasons that Haru doesn't need a monster like her. Sei assures her and tries to keep her morale, saying that she is the one who has been helping Haru all this time, but Hashaku is still scared. Sei gets a little speechless seeing her scared, but then cheers her up, saying that it's obvious that Haru is the type of person who will understand her. Even Sei understands her actions, so she should have faith in herself. Sei also tells her that he is the teller of Pachasake Anna, and they are living together at the moment. Hashaku gets surprised listening to the word together, and asks if they are also going out or dating. Sei makes a disgusting face and says they are kind of going out. Hashaku is amazed by seeing his positive response and shyly says that if they also kiss. Sei is grossed out and says they have kissed accidentally. Sei gets a little confused by her weird reactions, and Hashaku also screams while blushing listening to his answers. Hashaku gets up suddenly, saying that now she is fine, but Sei denies, saying that she is lying. He gets serious and tells her that Haru also wants to meet her. So there is no reason for her not to meet Haru. Listening to this, Hashaku smiles and praises him. She also asks him if he also likes Kuchizake. Listening to her, he looks at the sky, saying that he just doesn't hate her. Both Sei and Hashaku, carrying unconscious Haru, try to catch the train and eventually get on board. Once they get in, Sei asks them if they are ready, and then he takes out a card from his pocket, hoping this card will take them out of there. At the same time, the card vanishes and a portal is opened there, which is the exit. Sei turns to the unconscious Haru with the thought that he will get him out of there. And just when their train reaches the exit, an explosion occurs and the train gets blasted. It breaks into pieces, getting derailed, and all three of them get thrown out on the grass. Both Hashaku and Sei are confused about why the train exploded all of a sudden. They both get up from the ground, and then their sight falls on Haru, who is a little away from them, lying down on the floor with a bleeding head. Hashaku and Sei run towards Haru, but the black power releases from the train and attacks Hashaku. It restrains Hashaku and enters her brain, making her possessed. At some distance, the Yakuza boy is shown, who has been observing this all from the start. He gets a feeling of accomplishment. He is amazed that they think he didn't notice anything. The train doesn't only take power, but it also returns it. The power is much greater and only lets its user absorb it. He thinks that a monster like Hashaku should return to being monstrous. His plan becomes successful because Hashaku returns to her monstrous being. She attacks Sei and strangles his throat. At the foot of the death, Sei tries to stop her, but Hashaku isn't in the mood to listen. Seeing her not listening, Sei shouts that weren't Hashaku and Haru going to escape this place forever. But it does not affect Hashaku, and she continues to strangle him. Sei is about to get unconscious. His eyes are closing slowly, looking at the exit, which is being closed. Just when he was about to lose consciousness and the exit was closed fully, a scissor tears through the portal. Sei sees it, and then his eyes fall on Kuchisake, who enters grandly from the portal. After entering, Kuchisake asks Sei about his whereabouts. Kuchisake makes her astonishing entry and rushes towards Sei to help him. She waves her scissors around Hashaku to make her move away from him. Kuchisake goes to Sei, asking if he is alive. Sei opens his eyes and tries to speak, but cannot say anything. The fact that he is alive brings tears in Kuchisake's eyes. She takes her stand and says she was the one who proclaimed to protect him, and still something like this happened. She will slice up this tall woman. Sei tries to tell her that Hashaku is not their enemy but that guy, but his words cannot come out. Yakuza boy has been watching this scene and is interested in seeing an intruder in this world. It does not matter to him which one dies as long as he has this power. The Kuchisake Anna vs Hashaku duel begins. Kuchisake charges forward carrying her titanic scissors and swings around Hashaku, which she easily dodges. Sei has been observing this fight that Hashaku is missing those attacks by stepping afar and leaving Kuchisake with a lot of openings. When she is about to land a hit on Kuchisake opens her scissors legs to block her attack. It triggers Hashaku's anger that she becomes Super Saiyan and creates a circle around Kuchisake to drain her energy. Kuchisake's power seems to be rushing out. Sei is shocked that Hashaku is draining power without touching her. But then Kuchisake makes a joyous face, wondering if it's sucking on something. She waves her scissors towards Hashaku, saying her to stop as it's itchy. With that, Hashaku falls back on the ground. Sei is surprised that there is such a great power difference between Kuchisake and him. There is no such way Kuchisake would lose against an attack like Hashaku's. Kuchisake has completely cornered Hashaku and opens her scissors legs around Hashaku, saying this is for running off with her Sei. Sei considers it wrong that she is not guilty here and shouts at Kuchisake to stop it. Suddenly, her scissors return back to their original knife form. She also wonders if it happened due to Sei. Sei is also surprised that the scissors returned when he told her to stop, so there is something more to the teller besides possession. He tries to stand on his feet. Hashaku rushes toward him and reaches her hand. Kuchisake holds her arms and encourages Sei not to give up. He observes Kuchisake's legs are trembling, which means she is at her limits, even though she is powerful. He shouts her name, but she interrupts him and says she does not know what's going, but she knows he would not let her down. Sei musters up the last bits of strength in his legs and walks toward Haru that he is the only one who can stop Hashaku.